Okay, now we're live. Good morning, Kerri. How you doing?
Good morning, Mark. I'm good.
All
How are
right.
you?
Good. Good. We're getting back and forth. The first time we actually got to meet is just a few minutes before the show here, so it was
Yeah.
good to meet you. We've been going
Yeah.
back and forth on DMs and stuff like that. So it's good to touch base and see how you're doing. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself and where you're out of and stuff like that, and then we're gonna kind of dabble into some of your story. You got quite a story that you have, and this is October is a month of awareness for spousal abuse and stuff like that. So we're going to talk about your story a little bit, and then we'll move right into some of the other stuff that you do and how we got connected. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Kerri, and where you're out of. And no
Yeah.
further ado, here
I'm
we go.
Kerri. I'm Kerri Heddell. I'm out of St. Louis, and I do social media. But I'm currently working with Genomics, and I help with the daily operations of Genomics, helping with clients and just making sure that everything's helping Jay. He's the founder and owner of Genomics, but helping him, just making sure that everything's kind of running smoothly. And yeah, so I've been doing that since June.
Yeah, that's good. So we got my last one was with Jay, so we got to speak to Jay. That's who you kind of went with. So if you haven't got to hear that podcast, you can go back and get Jay's and listen to what we spoke about. He's quite now. I understand that you work with Jay, but you guys have not seen each other face to face yet. Is that correct?
We've zoomed.
We've zoomed that, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it
We've
something,
never met.
it's
No.
isn't that something how we can see each other
Mhm.
and never see each other? It's
But he's one of my best friends.
yeah,
Yeah.
isn't that isn't it amazing what
Hmm.
the good and bad of technology, as
Hmm.
I seen my kids go through it when they were kind of doing their school stuff, and just what a nightmare it was for them to Zoom every day, but now it's kind of the norm. You know what I mean? And so, anyway, so let's talk about it. So you got quite a story. We have October is a month for awareness and stuff like that. So of abuse of being inside a abusive relationship, and being doing what I do. I see it quite often as it is. I see quite a few people that want to come in for self-defense because of trauma, and then having a hard time working through self-defense because of the trauma. I mean, I've seen it over and over again with these with women that have been abused. For sure, they have a hard time kind of breaking through. It's always fun when I can get them to break through, but boy, it takes some time. So, you know, let's talk about your kind of your back. You know what it looks like from what happened with you.
Yeah. So it's I think, first of all, thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to be able to be here and be able to share my story.
Hmm.
My story's been something that I've been really passionate about for a long time, and so just I'm very passionate about helping women that have been involved in domestic violence, and it's definitely uh, very near and dear to my heart, especially during this month of awareness for domestic violence. So, yeah. So for me, I got married in 2003. I met my husband in 2000. I was a flight attendant at the time, and I met my husband in 2000, and we got married in 2003. Everything was really good. I mean, everything was just, we thought that things were going. I mean, I thought things were going well. He was a really strong Catholic. My family is very faith based. My immediate family, and so it was. I just felt like this was designed by God, and I felt like it was just really what I was supposed to be doing. When we were dating, everything was great. Once we got married, though, we went on a honeymoon and we came back from our honeymoon and I found out that we had been overdrawn in our checking account by over $3,000. And when I asked him about it, he told me that he had just miscalculated on some stuff and he didn't know what it was. He just said, he just kind of pushed it under the rug and said not to worry about it. So I didn't worry about it. So I just we went about our lives and everything was going well and happened a few more times and he would kind of put money in and make things right and stuff and then it was about 3 months into our marriage he told me that he was addicted to pornography and he had been addicted for 15 years.
Mm,
Um and I never I never really knew much about it, so I didn't really know that if it was really a thing. So I just, you know, I told him that I wanted to help him, and so we immediately reached out to a church nearby in our area, and they tried to help him with some counseling and just some groups and stuff, but nothing really. He really wasn't wanting to change. And so we the abuse didn't actually start until probably like 3 or 4 months into our marriage, and so, he would get very angry anytime we had to talk about finances, anytime we talked about money or anything. There was multiple times where he pushed me down the stairs. I had to go to the hospital multiple times, but every time I just told people that I fell, or it was
mm,
just a whatever, and so, but I came home one time from lunch, from work, and I was gonna go to lunch with him, and his car was in the driveway, and, and so I called for him, and he didn't answer. I went upstairs. When I went inside the room, he was in bed with prostitutes, and so that was a very telling moment for me, but again, I still didn't leave. And I've had this conversation with many people, that, why I didn't leave. I stayed for 7 years and he would spit in my face, he would push me down the stairs, he would hit me, but there was nights where I would go to bed at night and uh, I would either pray that either I would die or he would kill me or I might want to kill myself because it was just hell. Just living in the just I don't know. It was just I felt like I didn't have any hope, and I felt like,
yeah.
you know
I see, uh, a lot of things that I hear what you're talking about here is something that is kind of a pattern,
Mhm.
just in my experiences of who I teach and when what I teach. And, you know, what was there what so inside that, let me get your perspective on that. So you kind of educate me a little bit because I've always looking for some kind of education on. So when I teach women self-defense class, I can You know, I like to use these stories, especially when you guys put them out there and say, "Hey, now I have another story, right? Hey, listen, I've interviewed somebody that if you guys are feeling this way, I've interviewed somebody." And so it helps educate me and help making women a little bit more warrior like, you know what I mean? And what makes it what goes on that it makes is there days that are good? Is that why you stay in it, do you think? Is there days that are great and you're just like, "Okay, it must have been a bad day?" Or is there a fear factor? What is the thought process going on for you to stay in that type of relationship?
Yeah, so I was actually just having a conversation about an hour ago with a friend of mine about this, and then I was having a conversation with somebody else a couple days ago. But Yeah, I think one of the things I think it's definitely fear. I think there's part of it that's fear. I think that there is good days. I mean, there's days where it's okay, and maybe I only get hit twice that day versus
Mm,
maybe 6 times. I don't know. And also I think also it's also to the point where you feel like you feel like that you're the one that's doing something wrong. And like I felt like for the longest time like this was my fault. Like that I was the one that was causing him to get upset. And so maybe if I just acted right or did the right or did something right instead of, making it to where cuz after sometimes after he would hit me or like push me or something, he would tell me, I hate getting mad at you, but I just get so frustrated with things that are going on. And so it was like it was my fault. And so I would, and so then I would say, okay, I'm going to change. I'm going to make things right. And even to this day, I will say, I'll be honest about that. I have those times where if somebody's getting mad at me or if I feel like somebody's getting frustrated with me, I I get like I'm like, "Oh, is this my fault?" Like I get
Mhm.
it's very, it's difficult for me to, to not feel like it's my fault and to think that, "Oh my gosh, what are they gonna do?" Are they gonna yell and scream at me? Are they gonna curse at me? Are they gonna, whatever? Because that's what I've been. I mean, I was adding it up today because even after my husband, I dated a guy after that for 5 years, and he was the same, and then after that, I dated a guy for 7 years, and he was the same, and so it's been 19 years that I went through this, and so if you have this control that's over you, it's like you begin to feel like that this is your fault, and but I but I don't wanna be a victim to that, so it's hard to it's just even when you have the good days, it's still like, you have to be able to say, that you're that you're I don't know, it's just it's very difficult because there is a fear factor. There's a big fear factor. And trying to leave, I would try to leave several times and I would always get pulled back in, whether that was pulled in pulled in physically or pulled in mentally or, pulled in because I felt like I had nowhere else to go. And I
Right.
didn't tell people about this for the longest time either.
Yeah, so it's more of, you feel like when you're when this is happening, is there almost like a 2 life type situation?
Mhm,
You have this face on, and then
mhm.
you have what you have to go home to. Was it, uh was it stressful going from work to home? What is that
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
for you
because I didn't
guys?
know how he was gonna be when I would get home. I didn't know if he had had a bad day, if maybe he was, because there was one time where my dad had gotten him a job on Capitol Hill, and and he ended up getting fired from there because he had been looking at stuff on the computer at the job, and he lost his job, and so we were um, we lost we lost our second source of income. So I remember he was really upset about that, and he was saying, he I mean, all I can go on is what my dad told me and what people at the place told me, but I mean, he claims he didn't do it, but it was like, I mean,
Oh,
everybody saw it, but he was mad and it was a really long night that night. So it was like I never knew what I was coming home to. I never knew if I was going to come home to him being angry, if I was going to come home to him being with some other woman, if I was going to come home to him making dinner and being nice. I didn't know what I was coming home to.
mm. So, what is that so that's this one, right? And then you said you had several other relationships that seem to have the
Mhm.
same, results, let's say that. You know what I mean? Where you seem to I don't know if it's go after the same men. I don't know how to really say that, right?
Yeah,
You
I mean, the cycle continues. I mean, when I
Mhm.
left, so when I finally was able to leave my husband, and that's the other thing is that I mean, we separated in 2007, and even when we separated in 2007, I didn't sign the divorce papers for a long time I because I wanted to keep the relationship going. Uh, and why would I want to keep a relationship like that going? I mean, I was just
Right.
it was crazy. So, you know, but
Yeah, that's
yeah, so I moved down to Virginia Beach and I started dating a guy down there, and he was even worse than my husband. He was more verbal and emotionally abusive. And there was a lot of violence in that situation, in the sense like his family had a lot of issues. His brother was an alcoholic. There was a couple times where I was almost shot. Different things were just that different things happened, and so I finally left that one. That was 5 years. I finally left that one, and then I came back up to DC and got involved with another guy who I thought this guy was going to really help me and be, somebody that was going to be be really helpful to me. And he promised me that he would help me get back on stable ground and everything. And it was good for with him for the first like probably 3 or 4 years, but then things went sideways again, and he got verbally abusive, um and so it just ended
mm.
up, it was just a cycle.
So, yeah, so I see how the cycle goes. We're going to talk about how to break that cycle, what you did and stuff like that. But I'd like to let's get into where you had because the other part of the story is uh being pregnant and losing twins, right?
Mhm.
Was this where was this in this? Is this the with your
The
husband
last
or
one. No, the
the
last
the, the
one.
very last one?
Mhm.
So, you had twins. It's quite a story when I read through your story, right? And so I'll let you tell it because it always comes out better when you guys tell it. But it seems that you had gotten pregnant, and did you lose babies because of violence, or it's just one of those things that happened?
Um, I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I think that I was high risk. I'm in my 40s, so
Mm,
when I was married to my husband, I was I went in a size 8. I came out a size 22. So I had definitely gained weight. And when I was pregnant, it didn't help the fact that I had weight. So I think there was some health issues that, but I think, just stress probably, I would
right.
say,
Yes.
having the weight didn't help the situation. So I would attribute it to more of that. Um,
Gotcha.
but yeah, I lost one at 12 weeks, and then the other one, she was born and she went into the NICU and she passed away 2 weeks later, and that was in December of last year.
This is pretty recent.
Hmm.
This is a recent loss.
Hmm.
The Now it's happened in my family where we've lost some babies. My sister delivered and we lost him too.
Hmm.
My mom way back when my mom is almost 80 years old and it still haunts her today that she lost one of her. It was been a brother um, under me, right? And so having that kind of a having that kind of story, you know, how do you come out of how do you move forward from that? Because I'm trying to envision that in my head how that looks because if I read the story right, one was already going to be born still, correct?
Hmm.
And then the other one came but couldn't quite survive,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
Right. And so how do you help some other women with that? Going through that kind of how do you help how do you go through your depressions? How do you do that? How are we stepping out and trying to stay on a positive note? Let's get into some positivity out of it instead of the depression that we've heard nothing fan. Let's go on how we're healing. Let's go on that route because If not, I'll start crying right along with you. So let's not get into that. You know.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll say I had, at the time I was working for a business coach, and he was he really helped me tremendously during that time. Not working with him anymore, but he did help me tremendously. But I I do have to say that, that's what brought me to St. Louis. Was I needed to get away from my current relationship. I had just lost the twins. I was in a really dark space.
Right.
I was even, contemplating taking my own life.
Hmm.
I was very depressed. And so I came to St. Louis, to hopefully to come to some familiar territory, because this is where my dad's from. This is where my grandparents are from, and everything. So I came out here. Um, I got reconnected with Jay, and we started talking about genomics and him starting genomics and everything. And I truly believe that he has transformed me and helped me tremendously. I couldn't have made it through this time without him. He's been my rock. He constantly challenges me to not be that victim, to not be a victim to my circumstances, to not allow myself to get into that victim mentality. Um, then I guess I would also attribute to Jose. Jose Escobar. He's been an amazing support to me. He's helped me. He's been so supportive and just believing in me, and um, and just the CLA community in a whole has been so supportive. Um, I've been able to connect with Dr. Oliver Reed, and he's going to be helping me with my book. And so, just being able to do that, and then just being able to get my story out there and talk to people, and figure out how I can be that resource. And then, again, just circling back to Jay, just being able to help Jay with genomics, and just the friendship that we have. I mean, I think we help each other, and we complement each other really well. And I just all those different factors. I don't think that I could have
Yeah.
made it through without that stuff.
Well, I think that's anything. None of that. What you're talking about surprises me because having a coach is one thing. I think everybody needs that in their life anyway. Everybody needs a coach,
Mhm,
and to navigate through some of the stuff, and then you kind of need a village, I would say, to kind of
mhm,
uplift it and support it. And mindset is definitely a thing. I think Jay, being interviewing him now, we had some good talks about how to overcome adversity and what he overcame himself, right, from homelessness to a successful gym owner and stuff, and then an inventor, an entrepreneur through and through. So this is where you've kind of dabbled into now, is to be into this space of your own.
mhm.
So um, let's and how has it been making a move? Just kind of getting away from all that into moving here. Does that help with headspace? Number one.
It does. Yeah. I mean, it does. I mean, I think it definitely, I mean, yeah, I mean, it definitely helps, and I still, I mean, I still have moments. And like I said, this month definitely, just the awareness month is definitely a trigger for
Hmm.
me. But I can't sing the praises enough of the CLA, and just how much, Jose's helped out. And, like Tim Burt, he's in the CLA. He came and brought me some furniture, for my apartment, because I came with nothing.
Uh-huh.
And, Jared Miller and I have had multiple conversations,
Good dude.
yeah. And so, just being able to, I think one thing that's really helped out is, being able to being able to help others and getting the focus off myself has been tremendous.
I think that's
Um,
a super awesome advice. I often tell that, whether whatever, even in my own in my own space, when I'm a little bit off a little bit, helping somebody else with something is usually kind of lifts your burden off
mhm.
what you have going on. I think that's great advice as far as that goes. We'll say there's a couple people that said hello to you here. Emilio started off with us. He said hello to us. Jared Miller has been popped on. He's saying hi.
Mhm.
Jose stopped. I think Jose is on, probably listening right
Mhm.
now, I believe. You
Mhm.
have Kevin on here saying hi.
Well, Kevin,
And
yeah.
then it looks
Mhm.
like Emily's just said hi too.
Oh, Emily, yeah, she's yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you got quite a few people listening today, so it's awesome. If there's any
Yeah.
questions for you, they're welcome to put them in the comments, and I'll ask away. But so let's talk about what this book looks like that you want to do. So when you say you have somebody who's going to help you write your book, what does your book look like for yourself? Is it a way to try and write what you've gone through to help others? Is it a way of healing
Mhm.
by writing and talking about it? What's that looking like? What's your book look like that you're doing?
So that's kind of where I'm at. I was actually talking with someone earlier today about that I just, I really want my book to be, so first of all, it's going to be, it's, I think it's going to be a ghostwriting, Dr. Reed's going to help me with that. But I really just want it to be something that can really just help women have hope, in
Hmm.
their, I know there's women out there that are maybe currently in that situation, or maybe they've just come out of it, or even women that need to know what the signs are. I didn't see any signs when I was dating my husband. I mean, he was perfect to me, so and I don't know exactly what those signs would be because I didn't see those, but I guess just I really want to be a resource, want it to be a resource for women, offer hope for them, give them some sort of hope that I didn't feel like that I had when I was in that situation. I'm I want I do want to tell my story, but I want to take the focus off of me and more to, just making it about, how I can be a resource for those women. So I haven't figured out
You're
the name yet,
as
but it's just yeah.
you're in that kind of a thought process right now, right?
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
know exactly what you're talking about because I know when I was doing it, I was like, and same with me. What you're talking about, I had to. Emilio was such a and Daniela were super
Yeah, they're
helpful
great.
to me, right? And
Mhm.
so I was like, okay. And then I had a hard time putting, my thoughts on paper, right? I'm like, man, this is a lot harder than I anticipated this was going to be. And I
Yeah.
just thought, I'm really good at getting up in front of a group of people. I don't really have that kind of stage fright and stuff like that. I like that stuff, and I thought this was going to be easy. But Abigail came into my way. Emilio had her help me,
Mhm.
and the book writing process. If I can offer you something now that I've gone through it, right?
Yeah.
Um, it has been when I was doing it. So when I was doing it, I remember some of the stories I was telling, man. I was just like you were, right? When you sit back and you have this life that you lived, and then you have to look at it from outside because I'm in it every day. So I don't really realize the accomplishments I did or what I really overcame until I started really writing about it and going, huh, wow, that's a pretty amazing story, and it really happened. And it's almost an unbelievable story, and I was right in the middle of it, right? And then I overcame some of the adversities I've overcome, or anything else like that was super healing. Number one,
Mhm.
and then remembering some people in along my journey, right along my journey on who helped me, um, who I lost in the interim, to death and
Mhm.
and stuff like that, and a baby on top of it, That's one of my stories. I talk about losing a baby. I didn't lose the baby, but man, you thought I lost a baby because it was my student. I held the baby the night before it died. It died
Mm,
of just a sudden death, and 6 months in, and then you have a young couple that is super devastated, and then I'm helping them pick out a casket for their child, and it was just brutal. And dad was so heartbroken that he couldn't do anything at the gravesite. I had to carry that little thing, to its resting place, and that was that. I carried him. I was holding him and playing with him at the studio till 3 days later. I'm carrying him to his grave. That was super rough, right?
mhm,
And even
mhm.
telling the story about it again, I was like, wow. But I can tell you this, because of your story, somebody else is going to listen to what I had to say right there and say, man, I've been in those shoes. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, after I did it, I was super thankful that I was able to be there for this young couple that couldn't process everything that just went on in their life, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to do the same thing, right, Kerri? So you're going to
Mhm.
be able to say, hey, this is what I did. This is where I was. This is where I am. And how do you keep your safe now? How do you keep yourself safe now? I mean, you've talked about this now quite a bit now. How are you keeping yourself in a safe space so it doesn't happen to you again? How is that looking?
Um, hmm.
Outside of just we don't date. You know what I mean? That's I guess that's the one thing, right? If you take the
Yeah.
couple years that you need to heal yourself, then that's one thing. But how do you look at that now? What do you do for yourself?
I'm
Or
very
what advice
I'm
do you
very
have other
yeah,
women?
I'm very particular about who I let in my circle. That's one of the first things. I have a very small circle. It's I yeah, I'm very specific about who comes into my circle, who I trust. I I've learned, I mean, even just in the last few months, I've learned still difficult lessons on, how on who not to trust and who to trust. So um I try to be very careful about who I'm vulnerable with and who I talk to. But I honestly I stay inside my house a lot.
Right. Well,
I'm
that's
really, I mean, I'm
and
not, I
and
mean,
maybe
I don't mean that in a
it
weird way. Like, I mean, I mean, I just, I don't, and part of it is, I don't really, there's a fear for me about trusting people. I just don't, especially men, and I mean, I'm working with a guy now, but I mean, I mean, you know, I don't know. I mean, I do, I'm faith-based, so I do a lot of praying and I do a lot of just music is one of my big things that help me a lot.
uh,
I listen to a lot of music. I just keep myself very closed in
you're
right
just closed
now.
in right now. So it sounds like
Yeah,
you're probably still in that process of the healing process because it's not even been a year, right? It's not even been a year yet. So,
right. And
of
I'm very nervous about the people, like, that I tell, like, for instance, like, I ordered a book from one of the CLA people, and it's like, I'm like, "Oh, do I wanna give my address out?" Like, I'm very
this, yeah,
nervous about that
you
kind
get
of stuff,
nervous about that stuff. Yeah.
I don't like to, I mean, I just I'm just very nervous about giving my personal stuff out
Yeah.
so
Yeah, and I think that's understandable. I think that's something that's going to go a long way.
mhm.
My
I'm
girl
almost
always tells me
paranoid, like, when people ask me for my address and I'm like,
eh,
"Well, I do want my address." Like, I just,
yeah.
I mean, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that well, I'm one of these guys that I'm super trusting. I'm a super trusting guy, but um but also, I'm kind of built like a gorilla too. So I have a different, my persona is a little bit different, but I'm still pretty trusting of people. And then I get this same type of thing that you're talking about where there's issues or problems, and you have problems with trust.
I keep a
But
pretty tight routine. I mean,
yeah,
I do so, like, in the mornings, I go to the Y, I swim laps. I don't usually talk to people that much, I just
well,
I mean,
if
people
it,
probably think
it's
I'm weird or
I think
something, I
that
mean? But I get into the pool, I swim my laps, I come back home, I start work, I just do my thing. I don't do a whole lot, and I don't know my neighbors really. I mean, I know my next door neighbors,
is it
but I don't really do much with people, and it's really out of fear because I just 19 years of hell
well.
was enough for
That's true.
me.
Well, and that's what I talk about. We talk about this is real talk, right? This is the real feelings. This is really what's happening,
I
and
carry mace with me.
that that's that's
Thinking about
awesome.
taking some self-defense classes, Mark.
That's correct. Well, I can. That's one thing I can show you. I can show you how to split someone's head wide open. I can tell you that.
I might need
Uh,
it. Yeah, I might need it.
um, you know what I mean. I
Mhm.
think even when I go launch my book, I'm going to. Jay's on saying hi to us, by the way.
Okay.
Um, I think when I launch my book, I'm going out there early to teach some of the women some self defense. Anyway, I am really
In
surprised
St.
in
Louis?
the. What's that?
In St. Louis?
In is that where it's at or in Phil? The one that's no, it's in Philadelphia. It's January 6th. That one where I'm
Oh.
launching my book. I'll be there. And,
Oh, okay.
and so because I see that you guys did something, we'll talk about that in just a second. But yeah, I think I'm going out early so that I can help out with some women's self defense classes and stuff like that. I'm going to enjoy doing that. But when let's talk about that. Yeah, that routine. I mean, and this is none of this surprises me at all, and it's still pretty new even for you to even talk about. I mean, it's hard to probably talk about, even you're not even a year in, and but at least that's healing too. I think that you're on the right track, that you can you know not being around people. It's funny, I'm one of these outroverts that, like, I can get in front of the crowd and stuff like that, but I don't like being the life of the party either. I'm kind of like an introvert, right? I'm finding that more and more that this is how people are, right? Like to be around people, don't much like people sometimes. And
That's interesting.
then you know what I'm saying, I see that quite often, right? They can get
I'm a
out
huge
this.
extrovert though. That's the thing though. Like
Yeah,
I think that's the part of it that I struggle with because I do thrive around people. Like I'm a
yeah,
huge extrovert,
right. And so
so but
that's
I've
the
had to teach myself to be more of an introvert lately.
Yeah, that's yeah, I see. So I see that. Yeah, I see that so much more and more. And I'm surprised on the CLA, especially how many women have gone through some abusive stuff.
Oh yeah.
It is pretty telling. I'm like, wow, man, there's
Mhm.
just like, are guys that much of assholes, man? Every time I'm thinking it, right, I'm like, because I'm not around those type of guys, right? Because if you were, that's the other thing about some men, right? If you were that type of a man inside like our circle or something like that, other men would just put you in check like no other, right? But if you're in that circle that's what they all do, then that's a different circle, right? I don't really associate with men that do that kind of thing. You know what I mean? It just wouldn't go
You
well.
don't think that you do though, Mark. That's the thing though, is that when I was married to my husband, I mean, all my friends were like my friends for the longest time didn't believe me. I mean, they were shocked. They were like, this guy is really doing this? Like he's really doing this, and the thing I think was so telling was when we actually in 2007 when we were actually separating, we were in the this is like where were you when Kennedy was shot? I know exactly where I was when he admitted to this at the end. We were sitting in my pastor's office, and my pastor was the one he was the one that actually married us, and now he was helping us with our separation. And and my husband just looked at us, and it was him, my husband, myself, and my dad. The four of us were in the room, and he said, I beat my wife. I mean,
Mm,
it was like I'm having coffee, Mark. I mean, it was just like, it was like I beat my wife. Like it was so nonchalant. It was just like, he had no emotion. Like it was just, and I think, for me, it was very telling because I was like, he doesn't care about admitting to that. And you just don't know the people that, I mean, you don't know everybody that that is, it's crazy because my
Yeah,
friends
I guess,
are along
yeah,
this
that's true.
time.
I guess yeah, that can be a very true statement. I have a very tight knit circle around me. I don't really go outside of it. You have to really be part of what I do. I am very particular on who I have in my
Yeah,
circle,
I
and there's a
understand that.
and it right and there's a couple things that you have to be able to in order for you to get into that tight circle. Um, and I guess that's why I'm more law enforcement, military based guys around me because
Yeah, my
we
dad
kind of
was law enforcement.
yeah. So I get that. So well,
Hmm.
let's talk about what you're doing with Jay. Let's talk about your consulting. Let's end on more of a positive. As a matter of fact, Jay just said, "How was the tournament?" No, hey Jay. Hey, so
Asked him if he
I
was
was
there. He
I
said he was
know
there.
I I was there on Saturday, and yeah, I had several students on Saturday. I had one take gold, one take silver, one take bronze. No, two golds, a silver, and a bronze is what happened on that tournament day. And then yesterday we had some kids compete, and we had a gold medal yesterday and two bronze yesterday with the kids. So we have a small competition team, but it was fun. Yeah, down there in Delmar. I like that venue, by the way. It was really nice. But that's what's up, Jay. So we're going to talk about what about you right now, as a matter of fact, Jay. So let's talk about this. What Geovonics is and what you're helping with and what you're helping to build.
Yeah,
Let's talk about that.
yeah. So Genovix is oh, Jay's watching, so I got to make sure I say all
You
the right
say it
things
right.
here. Genovix is so it is a consulting. We help we meet business owners where they're at. So basically, if a business owner is just starting out, we can help them with their formation, whether that's their LLC, their S corp, anything that has to do with them starting their business. We can help them there. Um, Jay named it Genovix. He really liked the Genesis is the beginning in the Bible, so he really liked the GEN, like for the for the beginning.
Hmm.
um but when business owners come to us, like I said, we meet them where they're at. So they could be needing that formation. They could be needing to implement some systems and processes. So we have a CRM that we can help them with. That is basically like a one-stop shop for them to be able to use. They can utilize that for um, their funnels. They can use it for their website, their social media, their pipelines, um, their I'm drawing a blank. Their they can create email campaigns, marketing campaigns, workflows, all that stuff. So basically, they don't need to leave the platform. So basically, it gets rid of like Active Campaign, Constant Contact, Mailchimp, any scheduling things that you would need for your social media. So all that is encompassed inside the CRM. So we have the CRM, and then um, and then we've also got just some a la carte services that are offered. So that could be social media, that could be website development, that could be copywriting, graphic design, anything like that. So it's basically a consulting agency that helps businesses grow and scale their business.
So how old is this?
Genovix.
Yes.
So he's had Genovix for a while, but he launched it in, I believe it was May of this
Last
year.
May. So May of this year. And that's what
Mhm.
you guys and this is
I
where
may be wrong on the date, so
yeah.
I'm gonna not quote myself on that part
Okay.
because he's
Not a
watching.
problem. So so it's relatively but well basically it's been around but now it's kind of being implemented
Yeah,
and now it's
yeah,
getting ready
yeah.
to launch and do what you guys are
He's
doing
launched
you
it. It's
and then
launched. Yeah, it's
it's launched.
launched.
So you
Mhm.
have some back end now. Is it mainly towards a fitness field or no? Is it
No,
operational for anybody?
No, it's for anybody. So his fitness lifestyle brand is Exodus,
Hmm.
and the Fast Bar Pro that we talked about, his invention.
Yes.
Um,
That's not a bar that you eat. That that
sorry,
was the
Jay.
funniest thing today. That was the funniest story today. I was like,
Sorry.
I was if Jay before the show, Jay, we talked about it, and she goes, for the longest time, I thought it was a protein type bar, and then I had to find out
Told him to bring
what
me
it
some
was, and I
in
said,
his
then
suitcase.
that's
Sorry.
I thought that was such a funny story. Um, that was
I'm gonna
awesome.
get I'm
So
gonna get a lot for that. I'm gonna get a lot about that after this podcast, Mark.
it was funny. Um, so inside, so you kind of run the social media side is what you're gifted at the most. Is that what you is
So
that kind of what you
I do the
enjoy?
social media for Jay, but I also help him with a lot of the connections.
You do
Like
really well with that, by the way. I think you're the one that connected me with Jay.
I am.
Matter of fact, I think that you're the one that connected us together to get together on the phone,
Hmm.
and then that was a great interview. I felt
Yeah,
like I knew him forever. You know what I
I
mean? It
know.
was pretty. We were just kind of I don't know. I guess from the fitness side of things, it's not something. We both kind of chewed the same dirt. We had the
Hmm.
I was just a pool man, and I had this dream of having this martial arts school, and he was,
Hmm.
and homeless and doing. I mean, we just kind of connected that
Oh,
way. You know what I
I
mean?
love his story. He doesn't he doesn't always like when I embellish it, but I love his story. Yeah, I think his story is great. Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think that's was intriguing. I think that's when you made that introduction to me. That was really uh that was a good time, and then but we didn't really talk about what we're talking about now. His other. I was just too intrigued about the fitness stuff. I guess that's what
Well,
we have.
Exodus is his. Exodus is something he's been. Exodus has been around for a while.
Mhm.
Exodus is. Exodus and Genovix are his babies. But Exodus has been, around for a while, and he's really worked hard with Exodus, growing it, growing the gym. Exodus for Exodus, he always says Exodus is the standard. So he's very intentional about what he how with Exodus and everything. For Genovix, the core values are uh, passion, trust, passion, and integrity, and in that order. So it's trust, passion, integrity. With Exodus, the core values are conquer. Oh my gosh, I'm
Help her
drawing
out, Jay. Jay, you're online. Help her out, Jay.
blank. Drawing blank.
Jay said it came out in June. Um, this and
He's probably like
it's-
commit, execute, and conquer. There we
that
go.
that we did talk about that. I remember those three things: commit,
Hmm.
execute, and conquer.
Hmm.
That just sounds like a fight. That's why I told him. I said that sounds
Yeah.
like fighting stuff right there, man. That's what
But
happens when you get
my
in the
my
ring.
strength my strength is social media, and I
Yeah.
and I really I'm Facebook is my strong suit. So like I really I do a lot with like Facebook group growth, and so I've been helping Jay grow his Genovix group. We do have an Exodus group, but um we haven't really been focused on that, which Jay, we should probably talk about that at some point. But
So you have a group on Facebook that's for the Genovas. Now, is that for? Do you try and grow a group that's actually using the product, or do you let people in the group to have a a tribe, I guess you would say, that talks, and then you have a group that's just for that? What does that look like in what
So
you're
the
what you're hunting
genomics
with?
group that I have in there right
Mhm.
now, and is the genomics group that we have in there right now is their prospective
The
clients. So they're not,
prospective clients is what
yeah.
that group
Jay
is. You
goes,
kind of. Right. You kind
Yeah,
of give
Jay
little
goes
nuggets.
live every Thursday,
Got you.
and
Mhm.
he talks about, so, like, last week, he talked about integrity.
Uh-huh.
Integrity is big with Jay. And so last week he talked about integrity. The week before that, he talked about passion. I have a whole content calendar that I've written out for him, that, that I have through, like, I think through April of next year, that I've written out topics for him. And then I write out, and then between myself and Val, who's our copywriter, we write out the scripts, and we make sure that the scripts are uploaded for Jay so he can go live. And then we let people in the group know. Ultimately, what I want to start doing is I want to start doing something like this, like very similar to this, where he's having, like, where, like, you would be Jay, and then he would have somebody else on the other side, where he's talking to them about their business and talking to them about how he can help
Mhm.
them, and, just their different struggles. When I worked for the business coach that I worked with for almost 3 years, he was going live every, once a week, and we were writing out scripts and all that stuff, and it worked out really well, and it was getting people to the group, and it was growing the group, and we grew the group to, i think I think it was like 1,500.
That's
um
awesome.
so yeah,
Yeah.
that's my strength, is really helping grow communities like that, and helping and connecting, and just doing connections like this. um which, by the way, side note, remind me, I need to connect you with someone else.
There it is.
There it is.
Jay put it up. Commit,
Execute
execute,
and
conquer.
conquer.
That sounds
Yeah.
just like a jujitsu or fighting match right there. You commit to it, you execute and conquer that fool.
He has a certain
Uh
way of saying it. He has a certain way of saying it, and I'm not gonna say it because I'll totally butcher it, but I'm gonna let him say it. But he has a certain way of, like, tying the 3 words together that come out really well.
Well,
Mhm.
let's put that in the comments on what that's called again. How do you spell that? E
Genovix or Exodus.
the Genovics.
Genovix. And the website's gonna be genovix.co, but I'm I just built it out, but we're putting the copy into it now, so
Mm,
it should be up soon.
okay. So we're gonna put that out there that we have it. And then because I think even something like you just talked about, something like this, where even if it's you and him talking, you can have a small podcast that's 10 minutes long called, and you
Oh,
could
I've
be
told
called,
him he needs to have a
yeah, it
podcast
could be
for it.
called Genovics. Genovics
Mhm.
Talks, how to help here to help your small business succeed to the next level or
Mhm.
something to that effect. I think would be
Mhm.
be good. He has a good message. He's kind of a no nonsense guy, and so
Yeah,
and he's had
he's very
struggles
no
and he's
nonsense.
overcome it. So I think that's something that you guys could probably do well together because it seems
Mhm.
like you guys work well together. So
We do.
I like the idea of that. So
We have a good synergy, and we have a good chemistry together. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Jay has a book in him too. He should be writing. Um,
Jay needs to write a book,
mhm,
yeah.
he does.
Mhm.
I think your guys' stories. I think I can see how you guys work well together and trying to bring this thing together. So,
Well,
so before,
he's always the much, like, like you said, he's very no nonsense. Jay's just very, like, get to the point.
mhm.
Sometimes he says, like, we can play, like, good and bad cop together, because he can be he's very direct, where I can be like, "Oh, Mark, are you all right? Are you all right?"
That's
And he tries to tell me, "Kerri."
I'm the same way, man. I need somebody else to have that. I'm like, man, can we just get to the point already? Let's go.
Mm-mm.
And so yeah, you definitely need something. You definitely need that type of voice in that system because it's just not going to go well if you don't have it. So it seems like you
Yeah.
guys have a good synergy. So that's really good. So
Mhm.
I,
But I've
I
been
like what you
doing the flyers for Jose too. Have you seen the flyers for Jose that Jose's been putting out about his rise is real?
Yes. How have you been doing that?
Yeah, those are mine. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that. Yeah, no,
Mhm.
yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Usually Jay or Jose he'll yeah, I didn't know that. Maybe
I'll
he
go to
has talked to
Fiverr, and I
he had
send
to he had to have talked about that before because I
I
know
said, "Do
him.
not go to Fiverr, Jose, do not go to Fiverr."
Yeah, well, that CLA group should take Fiverr out of the question, and because there's so many people in there that do everything. You
Yeah.
don't even know what people do in there. I mean, people
No.
have no idea that I'm about to launch a coffee business. They're like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I have an online coffee business. I've been in the works for a
You
year and a half."
do?
Yes, it's going to release in the next week. And it's called America's Best Coffee Company, right? And I've been working on this. That's what I did with my stimulus check, right? My whole $600 from the pandemic.
Is
I
that what
took
your
that's
buymeacoffee.com is?
well, buymeacoffee.com really is how to support the show, right? So if you go to
Oh,
buymeacoffee.com, people can support my show that way, and they call it Buy Me a Coffee, which is a very unique thing. So when somebody supports my show, they can go buymeacoffee.com. But my online business is an actual, I've always wanted, believe it or not, some people don't know this about me, but I always wanted a coffee shop, believe it or not. I always thought that would be awesome to have a coffee shop. First of all, I love coffee and I love company. And I always wanted that.
I love coffee.
And so Express Words, it is I'm not sure who you are, but yes, it is StreamYard being
Oh, that's
used.
my friend Kevin.
Oh, that's Kevin. Yes, Kevin. It
Mhm.
is StreamYard we're using. And so I've always wanted a coffee business, but I'm like, man, I just can't open up something like that and maintain my martial arts school. I would be so inundated with it, it would suffer here. And then the pandemic hits, and I'm like, in the pandemic, I had coffee every day. I had to have coffee every day because I'm at home every day. And I'm like, man, I got it. And then the stimulus check came in, and I found a coffee business that you can do online that will ship and do all your stuff. And I had the samples come, and it was awesome. And so I said, that's what I'm going to do. So I took my $600 instead of buying a new TV and bought an affiliate marketing deal with it. And so that it's going to launch. And everybody's like, what do you mean you're launching coffee? I said, I'm launching a coffee business, man. It's something I've always wanted to have. So,
That's awesome.
and so
Jay,
that's what
I was gonna tell you, so it's his statement is, oh, Andrea Miller. That's Andrea.
is
Um,
that.
without commitment, you will never start. Without a plan, you have nothing to execute. Without discipline, you will never conquer your excuses. So
Yes,
there's
we
his
talk.
three,
Yeah, that's
there's
Jay's
his
stuff. So
three. Mhm.
anybody that's listening, if you want to hear a little bit more about what Jay says about that stuff, we did talk about that stuff on there because him and I we had a good talk, man, because we were kind of like, we were like, let's go, let's rock and roll.
Yeah,
And
you guys are good. Yeah,
it,
you
we
guys
had a
have
good
good
synergy.
synergy.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. I
Mhm,
really enjoyed him. So
mhm.
unfortunately, I didn't see him at the jujitsu tournament. I don't know what's up, but that was I was all over the place, man. There.
He did
I mean,
like
it's not
he
like
did
I
like
don't
a
stick out.
story.
I'm wearing the shirt that says "Old Man Jiu-Jitsu." I stick out like a sore thumb because I'm a big guy, and then I didn't see Jay at all. So I don't know
Was it
what's up.
Saturday or Sunday?
I was there Saturday. I
Oh, I
had
think he was there on Sunday.
oh, he was there Sunday. Maybe that's why. So maybe he had kids that were that he knew that were competing because Sunday is for kids. Saturday was all adults.
Oh,
So that's how we missed each other. But
okay. Because I think on Saturday he was with his family.
ah,
Um,
that could be it.
but
So,
yeah,
but so that's
yeah.
good. So I think that I think uh, Kerri. So what So let's talk about that. You also do some kind of graphic arts, I guess, is what you did for Jose then, right? So you have something
Mhm,
else in the background that you do.
mhm.
Right? That you can
Yeah.
create flyers or whatever for companies and stuff like that. See, I had no idea about that. I knew that you were. This is what is awesome about these interviews. Just kind of getting to know each other. And I knew that I wanted to talk a little bit about what you went through in the beginning, and because it educates men also. Uh, uh, and so is this somebody on the red carpet? Who is this? Do you know them,
That's
Kerri?
Andrea Miller.
That's Andrea
Andrea
Miller.
Adams
Okay.
Miller. She's in the CLA.
She's in the CLA. Okay,
Mhm.
I'll hook up with her, and see.
Yeah, actually, I need to connect you with her. She's got, yeah, you guys definitely need to connect.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is what's good, man, is just the connections that I've made. CLA has made a difference. It's expanded
Mhm.
my show, just so you know, being able to get people like yourself and,
I
you know,
know. I'm
Emilio and
gonna
Jose.
introduce. I'm gonna get Jay on a call with Jose.
Yeah,
You've never
I
met
think
him.
that yeah, it's a super good it's been a super good fit. It's kind of keeping me, even though I can do martial artists all day long, and they're great interviews because a martial artist is going to have a story all the time. Then I find out there's a ton of those in CLA also. I mean, that's where Jose and I've seen each other, is because of the martial
Yeah,
arts. That's our friendship. But it's really opened up, and then yeah, this has been a good hour for me. I've enjoyed it's super educational for me. I really enjoyed, you know,
yeah,
hearing kind of your story. I appreciate you opening up about that. And, you know, we're not even a year out, and I know it's a little bit touchy. I didn't want to go too much on your babies there, because then I want to start, and then they're going to be like, "Oh, Mr. Cox isn't as tough as he looks," as he's sitting here crying. Um, you know, so
yeah,
uh so that's this has been an awesome hour, and I think what you got going on with Jay is a good thing. So I'll make sure people reach out to you. We'll have this on
yeah.
audio. Yeah, we'll have this on audio too.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, as soon as I'm done here, I've got a few other audio edits I got to do. Yours will be up online today too. So will Jay's. And so you guys
Awesome.
will have the audio version of everything that I do on my podcast. Even though I do interviews, I have audio, so people can go to
Yeah,
Spotify, to Apple Podcasts. If you look up at Real Talk with Mark Cox, Real Talk. Is it with Mark Cox? I think that's what it is. You go to my website also. You see it right down here. If you just go to www.markcox.com, that is my podcasting thing. That's all where all the audio podcasts are. And it will also have a link over to my YouTube channel. So if people really want to watch the interview, they can do that also. But it's, you know, I started off as an audio podcaster. That's what I really liked. And but I've kind of like enjoyed these interviews. You know, I get to know
mhm,
people kind of one on one. We get to talk a little bit, and then I turn them into an audio podcast anyway. And
mhm.
so it's there for and you'll be able to push that out on over your social media, and we can you can dive into what we spoke about
Yeah, no,
today.
that's great. Yeah, and
All right.
definitely let us know if there's anything we can do to help you.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
appreciate it. It was good. It was a great hour, Kerri. I appreciate it. We'll I'm gonna let you get back to your day, because we're
Thank
already
you.
an hour, 2 minutes in. You know, I'll be respectful of everybody's time. Okay.
Yeah, thanks,
All
Mark.
right.
It
You're
was great
welcome.
to chat with you.
Yes, you too. Have an
All
awesome
right.
day.
All
All
right, talk
right.
to you soon. All right,
Bye
bye.
bye.